So, one of the questions that I was asking is, what was some of the most difficult or challenging things about bringing and putting Maxwell together? And so I wanted to ask you, what were some of the things that stood out in your mind as this was challenging or difficult?
Well, I think one of the most challenging things, of course, besides getting all the institutions and the government and everything like that together to open this school, was finding the right people for the right job. And Ray is very talented at trying to do that, even when he brings someone in that he knows is right for the school. Maybe they're not right for that particular job, but he finds the place where they fit and they work and so on. And so finding the right people for the job who are ready to be there to give some, not just a few months, but some length of time. And finding the students who really want to be there and they know what they can give to the school and what they want to get out of the school.
Yeah.
And
which is hard for students at that age to articulate. They've never thought about the whole process of education, and part of education is just being exposed, having things available to you that you would never think about engaging in that particular activity before. It's like, well, anyway.
Yeah, for myself, my experience coming from Los Angeles was to come from a very difficult school system where I was literally scared, very often, very scared to go to school. And what did that mean? How was I going to end my day? So it was very precarious, hard to concentrate in those. And I'll never forget, just in the very first few days of Maxwell, even just within the first 48 hours, seeing these students who, by the third year, so this is 1990-91, were so fully ingrained in the principles and the vision of Maxwell. They got it on day one. I mean, they had a few years to work on that.
Sure.
But by that time, they had got it so well that their entire purpose was to welcome the new initial students, the brand new ones, in such a way that although they were celebrating coming back and seeing old friends, there was this constant quote of bring those who have been excluded into the circle of intimate friends. These quotes rang so true because it was one of those guiding principles. And for the rest of my life, I always thought, what's the guiding principle for this situation? Or maybe there's 3 or 5.
Yeah.
And then to really work on that. In the table of contents in the Maxwell document here, I wanted to just read out loud, and I'll make sure that these are all digitized so that we have a permanent copy of it. It talks about various principles. It talks about 9 principles, and in this document it talks about the vision principle, the respect principle. Each one has a paragraph underneath it. So vision, respect, balance principle, integration principle, excellence principle, relevance principle, personal development principle, community development principle, and then global citizenship principle. I suspect that, so let me ask you the next question. In your opinion, what was the key components that made Maxwell so successful?
I think you just nailed it on the head, is that these principles didn't just come out of the thin air.
Right.
This handbook didn't arrive, so to speak. It came out of all the experiences that were being generated within the individuals that are participating. And as students begin to participate in that journey, first what was created was a unity of purpose. They realized that they have the privilege to be here, which was Maxwell, and start this journey, and these are the things that will get me down this path. I'd like to say one thing about what I said earlier with the hidden words. And LaNelma pointed out that she knew that Mark Miller was doing it, but so was Dale Robinson. Now, who started? Yeah, that's just it. is that, well, maybe Dale was the one, and Mark picked it up off of
Or
Dale.
maybe Dan. You know, we don't know.
You know,
Right.
and then suddenly, you know, everybody is benefiting and reinforcing this journey of the hidden words. You know, we're out here,
Yes.
we're understanding that this is the essence of the revelation of the Word of God, and that we will glean out of these, you know, whatever we need for security. You know, the morning prayer. You know, I have an awakened. All right, just
In
the
thy shelter.
awakened is itself. You know,
I have awakened in thy shelter. To
and then
me-
the whole thing, shelter, and then what comes next?
Oh my
Oh my
God.
No,
And it
okay.
becometh him that seeketh that shelter to abide.
And now you got the shelter, and then you're already blessed just by taking, you know, advantage of what you have under the shelter, you know. And then he keeps going about the security that you, just by the act that you now know, and now then you're worshiping your knowledge of what it is that you should know, and then what you need to do to be secure, and the sanctuary for protection. People know in their minds that if they can get in the sanctuary, you're protected, you know.
I think that with these 9 principles, this is a huge part of it.
Yes.
Because children all have to feel safe and secure and happy. And if they're safe and secure and happy, they will thrive. And they know they're loved. And I think everyone that worked there truly loved Maxwell. They truly loved the students. Even when they had to be disciplined or whatever, it's like any parent. If you don't prune your tree, you know, they're going to grow wild. The vine will grow wild. And so, you know, that has to happen with children and youth. So sometimes I'm sure as, you know, young people, they probably thought some injustice was done somewhere or somewhere along the line. But I have been in meetings where I've heard adults say, and I've said myself, I made a mistake.
Right.
And you can apologize for that and say, I did the best I could do, you know, because I had the best interest of that child at heart. And I think that's what happened with a lot of making people love that place so much.
Right. That was definitely my experience. You know, one of the things that I was thinking back, I was trying to figure out what magic secret formula was there, right?
Yeah.
That made the school so powerful for the students, the staff, the community at large, and it's so beloved, right? That here, 25 years later, I don my Maxwell shirt, which, by the way, when I walk anywhere I walk, if I wear this shirt, I get more eye contact in the United States and more smiles and head nods than any other piece of clothing I found.
And this says it all.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
The diversity, the peace,
So
coming together.
I was trying to detangle, if you will, or to try to decipher what processes were in place. And I think, from my understanding, and help me to understand this, is the whole thing started with the fundamentals of the principles of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, the revelation of Baha'u'llah, as an overarching principle. Within that, it appears, at least from just the simple manual from 1988, that it started with a vision statement. Under that vision statement, almost like a subcategory, were principles, 9 principles involved. From that, I think, were derived the standards of the school, whether that's in the academic field or clothing or anything, right? Behavior, language, etc. And then from that, those standards were then derived action steps, like what to do, what are the next steps, how do we develop a course or curriculum. But is that pattern? Is that a pattern that?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, when an act should, or reaction, you know, bring peace. That it should in fact open a door where you will want to repeat that because you feel good about it.
Right.
I had an opportunity to be kind, and I did it without even thinking about it.
Right.
It made me, and it feel good, and you're more likely to continue that because of what you're receiving.
Yes.
You know, when it, you know, Baha'u'llah describes it, you know, over and over again, you know, about opening our heart. Love me that I can, so that I can love you.
Right.
Okay? Love me. And if you do, then your love will reach me. Know this, O servant. Yeah.
You know, one of the most powerful things that I recall from the beginning of the 1992-93 year, and I think it was there even a few years before then, which is an implementation of some of these principles, is at the beginning of the year, at one of the morning assemblies, or perhaps it was afternoon, they gave out, the staff gave out awards to students at the beginning of the year, not the end of the year. I found this fascinating. In my last year, and I don't mean to brag, I won one of those awards. It was for in my beginning of my senior year. It was for residential something dorm life excellence for dorm B. So I won that. What that did is it created some positive reinforcement that the things that I'd done in the past were helpful, but it also propelled me into a position where I could be of a leadership position moving forward. That wasn't only done at the end of the year. To do that at the beginning of the year creates the impetus for those students to then embody and embolden themselves to move that forward. So it's order of operation. I've never seen that order of operations change. You always get an award at the end.
Right.
So this was fascinating to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one more thing on that.
Please.
A little louder.
I think encouragement is so very important to everybody. And when anybody, whether it was an adult, a staff, a student, I think everybody tried to really encourage the students by, saying, well done. And we would have students, involved like in the holy days, and they would be up all night and, did such a good job. But I know that encouragement is so important. In the Baha'i writings, we went to a conference in Vancouver, and Mr. Kahn was there.
Peter Kahn.
Maybe this happened after you left, I'm not sure. But the students went, they were in their uniforms, and when he took questions and answers, a student put up the hand and said, how many of the writings are still to be translated? And he said, and then he gave a number, a percent, and he said, of those, 80% are letters of encouragement.
The Manifestation of God takes the time to write a tablet or a letter about encouragement.
What an example.
So the individual wrote, he probably got an answer, but all the rest of it is about encouragement.
Now, what
Powerful.
does that say for parents and society?
Right.
We need to encourage people.
Right.
And so I think students not only felt safe and secure and happy, but they felt positive and encouraged.
Agreed. So that leads me to the next question. Maxwell had a mission, and I'm going to read that mission out. Maxwell had a mission.
This is the test? Do I need to write this test?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. And then this mission. Okay, so let me ask the question first. Maxwell had a mission.
Yeah.
Do you think that this mission sparked something deep within the students, staff, and community? And if so, how? So statement of purpose, which I'll call the mission for now. It says Maxwell International Baha'i School provides an international, multicultural program for youth who are committed to achieving excellence in scholarship, in moral and ethical behavior, and in development of noble and spiritual ideals. Maxwell's purpose is to prepare individuals for a lifetime of service to humanity. People who will contribute significantly to the unity and advancement of societies of the coming century. So the question I have is what do you think making this mission making this the mission in the forefront of Maxwell International High School, what did that help create? What was the effect of making that the mission?
Well, something that comes to my mind immediately was that this was a Baha'i-inspired school. It was owned by the Baha'is of Canada, but it was a school for everybody. And the revelation of Baha'u'llah came for humanity, not just a few people here.
Yeah.
And when we had students coming from all over the world, from different faiths, I remember particularly the parents coming from Asia. And I told them very straightforward, you know, this is a Baha'i school, and what that means that your children will learn to love and appreciate all the world's great religions as being true and valid. We will have the Baha'i holy days that we will, because that's a revelation for today. And they, across the board, they said, you know, we're not religious. Most of the people from that part of the world said that. Anything you teach our children to be good human beings, to have good moral character and have a good education, we're happy with that.
Beautiful.
So I think when all of these people came together, and perhaps you didn't even know what religion some of those people were.
Right.
So everybody was treated the very same. There was no distinction on, you know, doing things certain way for the Christians or the Muslims or the Buddhists or whatever, Christian. But I think that was a big, big one for that. I don't know if you want to answer something else, right?
Well,
so, repeat that again.
Having this mission.
yeah.
First of all, let me ask you a different question, Dr. Johnson.
Yeah.
It's related. How did you come up with this mission? How did you come up with this mission?
Okay. First of all, I didn't come up with it. I participated in the process, but during those first weeks of the staff arriving, plugging into the development committees that we had set up, and so they found that right off the ground they had to get running because, you know, we had timelines, and so they were soaking up as much as they could and contributing from their own knowledge and experience what they thought or thinking that Maxwell was all about. And so as we shared our personal visions and understandings, and we kept adding and subtracting and rewording to communicate what everybody is thinking about, while at the same time we're orienting their thought process to the writings.
Yes.
So that you have the writings inspiring and educating you, so that this knowledge base of what it means to be a Baha'i, what it means to be spiritually educated, or being the things that are within you being released and allowed to be your true reality. And so that was the beginning. And so the vision was emerging, and so we had what I referred to as a partial vision when the students arrived.
Okay, right.
And then how our understanding of what we're trying to do, and as it trickled down to people that are coming and have come and have participated, to continue to participate, and then welcome, just as you were talking about welcoming the students, we are welcoming and integrating, you know, the staff as we build our community. And then the constant responsibility to keep people plugged in, because we all came in with old order
Yes.
behaviors.
So what was the process of, so let's say you have a really wonderful 6 weeks where everyone is on the same page after that incredible consultative process.
Right.
You've worked really hard, diligently, and etc. But then new challenges arrive. It becomes,
right.
you know, things out of left field that you would have never foreseen in the past show up. And there's no specific quote about that exact scenario, of course. My question for you both is, when you had challenges that would crop up, how did you handle those challenges? What process, and if you have any examples of what those challenges could be, whether they were behavioral, academic, etc. So what process did you use when everything went out the window in terms of a new challenge that was unanticipated?
Well, we said a lot of prayers.
Okay, good. Prayers.
Yeah.
And we knew we loved each other, no matter what.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
Something. Yeah.
do you have any specific story
Well-
that you're looking for?
A number of things are flying by, in the sense that everything was moving so fast that, you know, when the staff, the day was ended and they were laying their head on their pillow, you know, of course things are spinning, and then, you know, one of the guiding principles that I try to hold on to and implement is to take yourself into account every day. And so, as things settle down so that you can reflect and think, if you can think back about how did I behave, you know, what did I do, what did I not do that I should have done, and how can I, you know, be a better person, so to speak, be a benefit to the world of humanity. And so if you go through that process and you know what you should do and what you know, so you focus on that thing of what I should do, so that I don't just keep my mouth shut when I hear a prejudicial
Or racial?
slur,
Right.
racial, you know, maybe next time I do that, I might have the courage to say, just a second, you know, was that very helpful? Did it, you know, that statement that you just made, it doesn't feel good to me. And I just want you to know that I don't adhere to that principle and so on. I mean, what do you say? Maybe all you can do is walk away.
Sure.
And then somewhere down the pipeline, you're stronger, and then you can engage the individual. Could we talk about this a little bit? You're a human being. I'm a human being. You know, and you can go through the process about what is it about that individual, you know, that color, that culture, that nature, that religion, you know, that you get all excited about.
Right. Well, in terms of, let's say, for example, in the case of discipline,
Yeah.
let's say there is a student or 2 or 10 or whatever it is that's having some significant challenges. I know that there was times where a student would be told, gosh, you know what, this is, for any number of reasons, it's not
Acceptable.
it's not acceptable. The standards have been really significantly dropped, and you might even have to send a student home.
Yeah.
Tell me about what that process looked like.
You want to take that one? Because you had a lot to do with it.
Well, in the dormitories, everything was consulted with the counselor, the nurse, the dorm parents, the parents would be included, the student would be included.
And usually we talk to the student, and then we say, okay, we're going to call your mother. All right? And you can imagine the variety of reactions from that, okay? And there could be some sad reactions. Go ahead, I don't care. She can't do anything.
Right.
But
So you start building, you know, now immediately, you know, the root cause of what that person is in the office for. You know, and so
Right.
it's much deeper, and it has to, you know.
But before anyone was asked to leave, of course, the principal and the vice principal, we were all involved, and with the parents and students and so forth. But hopefully, and I don't know, there are different experiences students remember, but the purpose of that was to keep the standards at a level that would not drag everybody down.
Yes.
And a student, when they were asked to go, they were always given a plan of action that if you want to come back, you would be welcome if you do this
A, B,
plan.
C, D.
Sometimes it would be counseling with a member of the assembly or a professional counselor if we felt that was needed, if the counselor at the school recommended that, or the nurse, or so on. And they would have to do some work
Yes.
on what the issue was. And sometimes it was just attitudinal and, not wanting to abide by certain rules or laws, but those were not my laws. Those were the principles of our faith, and that is good for society.
Right.
To grow and develop into a human being that can help for the betterment of the world in the future when they become an adult. And so quite a few of those students left, and I'm sure when they left they were perhaps angry, perhaps sad. I don't think any of them were joyful.
Right.
But a good number of those students came back and gave so much back to the school.
So some of the students, okay, so the process here is that there was a lot of consultation.
Oh, absolutely.
Tremendously with multiple people. And then a student may be told that they would have to leave, but at the same time we're given the encouragement and said, should you decide that you want to return, these are the steps. This is
Yes.
how that looks.
Yes.
And then if they would return, what would that, tell me what that,
Well,
what
then
would happen to that
Then they
student?
had
How
to
would
go
that
through
look?
the interview process again.
So you re-interview.
It would be like admitting a brand new student.
Wow.
They would have to be interviewed by myself if they came to the school for the interview, or if they were far away, people like Counselor Schechner, other people who were the interviewers that we had found around the world who had our interview to make sure that the issues had been addressed, that the person truly had an attitude of wanting to be here, to be of service to the school, as well as gain and grow from the school experience. And so it was not just an automatic, yes, if you do this, you come back.
Right.
You went through a process again.
What was the students, I have personal experience, I wasn't actually asked to leave the campus or anything, but I have personal experience where at least a few of my friends had to leave. And I don't know what their process was to come back, but when they came back, I saw a tremendous level of growth.
Yes, growth.
Tell me about that. What was it about that process that made them grow?
Well, that was what
We
the
can't
transformation
look
was
at
all
that.
about. Personal transformation. And that's what we were striving for, is that we're all in everybody there till we die on this earth, we're all in a process of growth and development. We never stop evolving. Yeah. And that's what happened with those individuals, I think, was that they truly understood what their purpose was, and they had a personal transformation experience so that they knew what they could contribute to the school, and they knew what they wanted to get out of it.
Right.
And I think they came in there 100% wanting that, and they were successful at it. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
More people came back than didn't come back. Some people were not ready to engage. They still had a lot of anger for some reason, or something inside of them. So no matter what we would do, we couldn't address the bigger issues. And and we're, I don't know if we wish that we could. I think that we try to do all we can do, because we have to think of not only the student we're working with, but the influence of that individual to be there,
Right.
and then what ramifications that has, back into the community.
Right.
And so there was always this balance that we were trying to make sure that we didn't lower the standards,
Right.
let's say, and then we had these other problems start to come up.
Right.
And
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the challenges,
Did that answer your
It did.
question satisfactorily?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it sure did. It sure did. Okay. I'm gonna pause it.
Yep.
And we'll do